Oh, that was awesome. Got him in the side now. Oh, I still got him in the mouth. That was so cool. I saw him coming, I just stopped it. Not giant. Not a giant, but he likes the old stunna jerkbait. And the funny thing is, I'm using it in a pretty much a shiner pattern, a shad pattern. And I got one of the most frequent questions I get. This is probably, I don't, maybe this will surprise some of you, maybe not. I don't know offhand, but it probably is the #1 question I get. And it is a simple question, and it's kind of surprising how many people ask it, and it's at the same time not surprising at all. So there's another one. The question that I get asked all the time is, Matt, I fish lakes and rivers and ponds, and there's no shad in them, okay? So when I buy baits and when I use baits, should I throw only things that match the hatch? So if there's no shad, should I just throw something that's like a crayfish or only like a bluegill? And it really is a pretty good question when you think about it. But it's really not nearly as just simple as, hey, just match the hatch. So I'm just gonna give you my own logic on this. Maybe some of you guys will agree, maybe some will disagree. But the way I look at this is, if I go out to eat, there's times I like a cheeseburger and French fries, good old classic American food. But there's as many, if not more, times I prefer to eat, say, fajitas or tacos, some good Mexican. Maybe I go out for Italian, get some pizza or lasagna or fettuccine alfredo. There's times I like Chinese food. And if I were to break that down, obviously, yes, I can get most of that in most places you go to, but you can't get it all the time. And I've never been to China, and I like Chinese food. I've never been to Italy, and I could eat Italian food all day long. So the way I like to think of it is, bass are opportunistic, and just because you're using a bait that doesn't actually look like something that lives in the lake they live in, does not mean they won't eat almost anything, right? I mean, the logic there is, you know, these fish, if you brought a shad to this lake and put a live shad in the lake, they're gonna eat it. Just like they would eat the bluegill or perch or crappie or crayfish or whatever else they're eating that's in this lake. So to answer your question in a long way, I would 100% say yes, you should be using baits that resemble shad and all types of forage species. And the reality is, no matter what forage species you're talking about, for the most part, whether it's bluegill or perch, or there's another one, or crappie, oh, he just came off. They've all got shad tones to them. Generally speaking, their entire belly is gonna be white. You know, sometimes with like perch, you might have some orange fins. And with bluegill, you might have some dark colored bluegill. You might have some bluegill that are so light colored, they look like shad. You know, so if you're fishing, for instance, I'm fishing clear water here. Clear water bluegill are generally straight silver. They got a little green hue to them, but they're not big, bright bluegill like a lot of you think. Generally, to get those big, dark colored bluegill with the purple hues, they need to come out of darker tannic water or thick weeds. You know, you don't see that in most places. In most places, bluegill are generally silver to a point. So, you know, I 100% think, honestly, if you were to choose one color to use, no matter where you're fishing, that some form of shad color is probably the best all-around color. And that's because it probably does a better job. There's another one, matching every species versus just, you know, matching bluegill. And I think it's harder to match bluegill to bluegill colored baits because of the fact that the bluegill can be so many different colors. So from that standpoint, it's like, just grab something that's more of a shad color, a straight minnow color, and pretty much no matter where you go, there will be minnows. Like little minnows of some form or fashion, little shiners, and that is enough to get the fish keying in on some sort of bait fish. Like, I don't actually know of any body of water that doesn't have some form of minnows or little shiners in them. I mean, we don't have shad up where I'm fishing right now, but there's still some form of little minnows and shiners. Every once in a while I see a ball of them. I don't know exactly what they are, but they're tiny little minnows that are silver in color. So for all of you that have asked me over the years if you should only buy bluegill colors, or let's put it this way, don't buy shad colors if you're fishing a body of water that doesn't have shad in it, I would disagree wholeheartedly with that. I would definitely say you should have shad colored baits. You'll probably catch more throwing shad colored baits than you will throwing strictly bluegill colored baits or perch colored baits. So hopefully that answers your question. Just think of it in human terms. That's generally how I do. We can't ask the fish exactly what they want, but I think, what would Matt do? And Matt would eat tacos. Matt would eat a cheeseburger. Matt would eat lasagna. I love good Chinese food. Like, I love it all. If it tastes good, I'm gonna eat it. The other thing to point out too is I think a lot of times we play on the curiosity level of bass, and they don't have hands, so they can't just pick something up and feel it. They feel it in their mouth. So a lot of times they'll put it in their mouth without the intent of actually eating it. They're just putting it in their mouth to determine whether it's edible or not. And from that standpoint, it doesn't really matter what it looks like or what color it is, because the fish, if they've never seen it before, sometimes will eat it just out of straight curiosity because they don't know if they should eat it or not. Long way to answer your question. I hope it answers your question, not just yours, because there's about 100 of you that probably asked me that over the years. And I don't know that I've ever actually addressed it, but hopefully it was helpful. If it was, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And stay tuned. We got a new one coming out tomorrow for you.